been working with the Department of Health and Social Care, Skills for Care and the CQC to provide a recruitment platform to support the industry. The solution itself is a two-sided marketplace for candidates to register their interest, record a video interview, gain the training required to be able to work in this industry, and for providers to be able to search for those candidates and place them into roles. We're going to walk you through a demo of both the candidate and the provider experience. So as a candidate, I land on either the everydayisdifferent.co.uk website or joinsocialcare.co.uk, and I'm given the option to either get started and register or log in if I've already been to the site before and want to continue my application. On the homepage, we give you a little bit of information around what it means to work in social care and walk you through the process of registering and completing your application, to broadly informing you that you're going to be able to complete a video interview if you have the capability. You don't have to complete a video interview, but it's preferable. We are going to carry out some background checks on you, and finally that we're going to offer you the online training needed for this role, none of which is chargeable. So as a candidate, I'm going to go ahead and register. So first of all, we start off by entering our email address. So here I'm going to use a test email address. Now with the password itself, we do ask users to enter a password with at least one letter, one number, and at least 8 characters in length. This just allows us to make sure that the password itself is secure. We're going to go ahead and register now. Okay, great. So now my registration has started. I'm shown a screen which allows me to enter my personal information, such as my name, address, telephone number, date of birth, and so on. So I'm just going to go ahead and quickly fill this out. Great. As you can see, a lot of the fields, if they're not filled out correctly, will show up with a red bar, and will also give you indications as to what you need to enter within it. Fields will turn to green just to let you know that they've been correctly filled out. There's no validation errors on the page. This is an easy way for candidates to be aware of the state of their application. So the following section, we ask questions around transport. Now the reason we ask specifically around driver's licenses is because outside of London we tend to find a lot of care companies require a driver's license and the availability of a car, so access to a car. So those are the questions that we ask. So if you say you do have a driver's license, we'll then expand the questions out to also ask you if you have access to a car. So I'm going to say yes, I have. We then ask questions around your availability, so how many hours you'd like to work per week. This is just an indication to support providers when they're searching for candidates. And then we ask questions on when you'd like to start work, if it's on a particular date, or in this case I'm going to say that I want to work as soon as possible. Again, we finally ask questions around experience. So do you have any experience as a professional care worker? If you do, we'll just simply ask you how many years. In a future version, we'd really like to extend this out by asking questions around the types of care and allow providers to filter by those types of care. So we'll be doing that in one of the following releases. So now that I've completed my the About Us section, we go straight into availability. And here we ask 2 simple questions about the right to work in DBS. Because these questions can be a bit more complex, we have given some tooltips around these to help users understand what it actually means. So in this case, I'm going to say that I have got the right to work and I can provide the identity evidence at a later stage. It's completely up to providers to obviously capture elements like the final certificate for the DBS training and also any right to work and identity checks as part of their normal compliance process, but we try and ask the right questions at the right time through the application. Here, where we have a DBS question, we're actually going to ask if the candidate has got a recent DBS certificate. If they have, we ask for the certificate number. We also ask them if they are currently on the DBS service. However, if they're not, we just skip through that and continue. Finally, the candidate is asked to record a video. We give them quite a bit of information around what they need to do to prepare for the video, including any identification that they might need to have in preparation to show during the video. What this allows us to do is have providers view the identity within the video so we can complete the required identity checks. So we also have the option of skipping the video entirely. So if I have any issues and I don't want to complete the video, I can click skip interview, in which case I'm shown a confirmation which allows me to submit my application. However, I need to be aware that I can't be DBS checked at this point, and I won't be given the online training, but I will be available to train for providers to search and put me through those processes through their normal operating systems. In this case, I'm going to go back and I'm actually going to record a video interview. So we're going to click record video interview and we're taken to the interview screen itself. So I get some information just explaining to me that I need to make sure that I have the information required, and it's going to take me through a couple of screens just to make sure that my video is set up correctly. So here we're taken to a screen just to check the audio, so the white bar at the bottom is moving to tell me that my audio is being picked up by the microphone, and I can see myself in the camera, and I can check for lighting challenges or anything else before I start. I can also get some help around this, or change my video settings or my camera settings if required. But we're happy to go, so we're going to just continue and say everything is working. I'm now going to be taken through the actual interview. I'm told up front how many questions there are. So in this interview, there will be 5 questions. These questions are completely custom. So, and we actually worked with the Department of Health and Social Care on what these questions need to look like. We also worked with Skills for Care on these questions. So, question number 1, once the timer finishes, please clearly hold up to the camera any proof of identity, such as a passport, driver's license, date of birth, or adoption certificate. So here you typically have the user hold up that identification. In the second question, we ask them to hold up their second proof of address, in this case. So a bank statement, building society, credit card statement. And again, the candidate would have to show that on the video. And then finally, we ask some questions specifically about the candidate just to get to know them. So here we've got a question about what they do in their spare time, just so that you can get a sense of who that person is. We have a question here around what actually inspired me to apply for this role. Why do I want to work in social care, and what do I think the skills that I have would, how they would be transferable into this environment. And then finally, we ask a question asking them about their decision making and how they would react to a situation. So once I've answered all these questions, once the timer finishes, please clearly hold up. So once the interview is finished, I get the opportunity to review my entire video. I can flick between the sections, so I can click on any specific question to see how I answered it. I can also restart my interview if I'm not happy with the result. However, in this case, I'm going to say I'm happy, I've watched it, I'm comfortable recording it and submitting it. We click the submit button and the application will be sent. So the video interview will be attached to the record on our system, and the user can now continue their application. So now going back onto the joinsocialcare.co.uk website, I can now click next, and I'm taken to a confirmation page, which basically just allows us to confirm the identity of all the information provided by the individual, and just make sure that there's no inaccuracies before we finally submit. Once I click the submit button, I'm notified that my details have now been added to the database. Providers can see and recruit for me if they wish. I'm also instructed that I'll receive an email once the DBS checks start, and I'll also be given access to the training. However, that will happen after a provider has been able to verify my identity. So that's the end of the journey for a candidate.